brother, now look here. I know, my DJ, you will exhaust our energy. Please. And I've seen people from Nyanza region. Erokamano waro moko dikabuono. Watu huko taka Nyanza region, I'm telling you. Talk about one person. Ongea kuhusu baba. And everything will be very straight. Ama namna gani? Wanasema sandantin tukuo kaki. Hata kama sindano ni kidogo, inashona kaki. Ama wanasema apoyo tin togo rude. Sungura ni kidogo lakini nasa nini? Mapacha. Twende kazi DJ. What's up? Yoni pole pole from the Nyanza region. Pole pole. I'm telling you. Na una dance kama uko na kifungu. Ya Range Rover. Hey, DJ. Not yet. I know immediately after this. There are those people, anytime they have to dance, wanafungua bulb. People from the northeastern region and people from the Somali region, wanafungua bulb. I don't know which bulb, wanafungua kila wakati. They open the bulb, there's nothing else that they do. But now watu wa Mombasa ni watu wa pwani vizuri. Hebu tupigie makofi wa Kenya wote. Let's all appreciate the Kenyans. Ladies and gentlemen, Afro Cinema continues shortly. Be seated. They were waiting for Kungulu Kangala. So now, let's have Cheva, and then the sister there, and two more, and then we can see how to go about it. Oh, kuna wengine wako mbali sana. Somebody to see them and visit them there. Wawili. Let's go.
So thank you. Yeah, this is Cheva again from Capture, the National Treasurer. Mine is on this conversation, ask the TSC whether they are aware of the teething issue. And thank you, Prof. Ogondo, for telling us some of these are just teething issues. They are not the main issues. The teething issue of the scarcity of teachers in the creative arts. I'm talking music, drama, film. It's in the learning designs, and yet so few teachers can teach it. In actual fact, my employer, none of the teachers you are giving us from the university, at least in the region where I am and I'm in Nairobi, and the ones I have seen, I'm the National Treasurer of Capture, is coming specifically to teach drama or film or even dance or PE. Very few are coming to teach PE, if any. And so we're asking ourselves, and you may need to ask me, who is teaching these learning areas? And I give you the answer. It is the old veterans like yours truly speaking here, and I'm 57. And guys of my age mates, those of us who left PT College in the 80s and early 90s, when 844 was 844, as it was intentioned to be. And that tells you that in 3 years we'll be exiting. And we may lack these teachers to teach creative art. And this is a beautiful space. We were in Nakuru the other day with Professor Ngondo here, and we saw the budding thespians in drama, in the national drama and film. And there are wonderful students coming up, taught by these aging teachers. And so my question finally is, what is the TSC doing, or could you now be planning to fast track and find a way of prioritizing teachers of creative arts, specifically in film, music, drama, and PE? And number two, I was to direct this to the PS, and this is an observation and a compliment. You gave us your audience the other day as Capture executive in your office. Thank you very much. And the issue was NEMIS. I'm surprised this acronym has not come up today. And in NEMIS, we presented the big challenge and you promised action. I wanted to report to you, sir, that action is being seen. Your large army on the ground, particularly the sub-county directors, are finally verifying NEMIS several times per day. In fact, my colleagues here heads will agree with me that we've been called severally by our sub-county directors in the middle of the night, saa 6, saa 7 ya usiku, naambiwa wewe amka, NEMIS imeanza kufanya kazi. Amka weke. And I believe the numbers are coming up. The numbers I've seen are coming up very beautifully. So, sir, PS, thank you very much on that area. Asante sana.
Asante. Asante.
My name is Samuel Kinuthia. Kinuthia is the National Vice Treasurer of the Kenya Private Schools Association and also the Chair of the Kenya Private Schools Association, Kiambu County. Dr. Sugut has answered the question on placement, but I want clarity from him, and especially on the learners from private institutions. I remember in 2022, before we decided that there should be a high school in primary schools, what we had done is that we had created a choice for those learners in private primary schools to choose a private school from the NEC portal. And I believe that is what should happen even as we transit these learners into senior school, that the learner should be given a choice also to select a private school from the NEC portal. My second question still goes to Dr. Sugut. We appreciate that affirmative action must prevail. But I want Dr. Sugut to come clearly and say that affirmative action will not be used to disadvantage learners in private institutions. Thank you.
A lady now. Yes, thank you.
I'm Sister Catherine Dereba. With my colleague here, we are representing KCCB, Commission for Education. Our first question is on the core subjects. Among the core subjects, religious education is missing, and we feel that it is not provided for in the it is provided for in the social science pathways, and we feel that it is critical, especially in instilling values and morals among our learners, and at the same time enhancing ethical citizens in our country. So we recommend that CRE be compulsory at all levels of learning. Secondly, the teaching of PPI. It is timetabled in PP1 to grade 9, and in senior secondary is not timetabled. Yet we feel that it also helps in formation of our learners and character formation, as well as enhancing their faith. So we recommend that this subject be timetabled in our timetables. Thank you, and my sister has an additional one.
Sister Stella Gaviro from KCCB. Mine is just one, and to enhance on what has been asked. It's about the introduction of the hybrid schools, and we feel that this is likely to compromise discipline in our school. So in simple terms, we request or recommend if we could just have the boys stroke girls, alternatively day boarding schools, just as it were like before and not hybrid. Thank you.
Now that side mulikuwa wengi sana, so wacha tuongeze mmoja tu that side.
Thank you very much. My name is Gerard Muathe. I'm a teacher. I also represent NAT Nairobi branch. Now, while we appreciate the role of the ministry in the implementation of CBE, there is a challenge when it comes to distribution of textbooks, where teachers are finding it hard to implement, because you find a subject like mathematics, you have a class of 200 in a school. Each class is given 100 textbooks. These textbooks are from different authors. For example, Smart Score Mathematics, Top Scholar Mathematics. Now, when you give a class, you give 10 children Smart Score, 5 children Top Scholar. Now, which book are we supposed to use? Because you find what you are teaching is different from each textbook. Thank you.
So I think those we still agree that you write your questions and hand over to the secretariat, because we will not be able to take all.
Only one.
But I can see that one hata amesimama juu ya kiti. Sasa hapo lazima tukubali.
Yes, because the backbenchers have been ignored. So my name is Geto Kisha Muranga. I want to look at sisters' contribution from a different perspective on the hybrid schools. Apart from compromising on discipline, the ministry will need to protect the nearby day schools. If a day school neighbors a good boarding school, and the boarding school is opened to receive students, the day section, then of course it will be a death knell to most of the day schools. And these day schools play a very vital role in our education system. Number two, the TSC. There is that rule that one who is not registered by the TSC cannot enter a classroom to teach or to implement the curriculum. Right now, we have an acute shortage, not only in the creative arts subjects, but also in ICT. And if I am not wrong, ICT is a crucial component of the CBE. Now we need to look into that, because I want to integrate ICT, yet the computer teachers are not available, and I cannot be allowed to take that diploma graduate from another college to come and implement the curriculum. That needs to be looked into. Then finally, I want to thank NEC, because when the CEO NEC was presenting, internationally all the outcomes that I expected from the CBE were well captured by NEC, like the increased students' engagement, improved learning outcomes. But there is one that the minister wants to overlook. That is the reduced stress. Internationally, there are 4 major ones: increased student engagement, improved learning outcome, reduced stress. The ministry wants to go back on this one. When you come in and make mathematics compulsory again, and these people have elementary mathematics at the primary level and the junior secondary level, then you tell somebody who wants to be a footballer or who wants to go and be an actor out there to go and start running the matrices and the mantissa, you're not being fair. You're increasing stress, and that in itself cuts out one of the 4 outcomes of competence-based curriculum internationally. And finally, the development of essential skills, which was well captured by NEC. I also want to congratulate NEC, because every November we have to go under escort. It's the only time that I get escort from the Kenyan government. 2 policemen, one on this side and another one on this other side. I am happy, at least to know that NEC can trust me because they cannot even trust me with my phone. I cannot even be allowed to be with my phone during exams. Now I'm happy at least to know that the CEO NEC knows the stress that we go through. Thank you very much.
Finally.
Thank you, Gitu. I'm sorry if I had not seen you, but you have raised your points. We have heard them. Now, what to this side, they will feel we are also not seeing them.
Yes.
Is there a hand up somewhere? Yeah, please go ahead.
Thank you. My name is Rose Ete, CEO, Kenya Private Schools Association. Just a rejoinder to what the Treasurer Kepsha had to say as regards to the teaching profession. We currently have so many experts in the market who can handle different areas of learning on different pathways. What is the easiest way, according to TSC, that can these experts come in and have join in the teaching profession? Because we know what is making them not be able to come into this profession is just certification or the TSC number. Can they be allowed, or what is the easiest way that they can be incorporated in the teaching profession? Secondly, my question also goes to TSC. Do we have a framework in place to just check on the effectiveness of the retooling programs that do happen countrywide? How do we check on this effectiveness to ensure that teachers are properly retooled? And finally, can we have recognition of prior learning for the teaching profession, especially as regards to subjects like arts and sports, music and drama festival, because this is already happening in the country locally by the international schools. Thank you.
I think, and I like the way DG summarized it in the morning, this conversation, it has to be continuous. You can see DG, there are so many people who want to ventilate and reflect on some of the issues that have been canvassed here. But we also are alive that we cannot be able to give opportunity to all of us in terms of airtime, but you can pass your questions to us and we see how best we can respond to you. For now, I would request that we allow the panel to not respond, to just reflect over the issues that have been raised. I can see one here, which I'll give to Professor Ngondo. So I'll not ask him to come in first. So it means I'll ask, I think this time Kega received quite a good number. So Kega, you may want to come in first.
Thank you for those issues. I totally agree that this is a conversation, quite a number of things to take into consideration and give it a deeper thought after this. However, a majority, if not all, I know we have probably journalists, but majority of us are teachers. And in as much as, and I'll say yes, we are still looking into how to ensure that there is a stopgap measure to deal with lack of teachers in some areas. But I want to draw this back to the universities and the colleges. I do believe that demand follows supply. The curriculum, the competence-based curriculum, has created a demand for teachers in certain areas. Back to the trainers of teachers, what are you doing about it? From what I am hearing, I think we need to do more in ensuring that we have teachers or persons training or expressing interest to train in those special areas that have got very big demand. Two, because we are teachers, why is it that we want people, and now this is in-house, why is it that we want people who are not trained as teachers to handle our children? It only takes 1 year for that person who trained in ICT and does not have the background in teaching to go to KTTC and come back with a certificate we employ. Why are we saying that instead of encouraging those people, and teachers, we are opinion leaders, Why? We know those people who are not employed and they have all the qualifications, and we have opportunities in schools for those special areas. Why are we not encouraging those people to go to KTTC and come back as trained teachers for us to register, and so that they can go to schools? Maybe that's why we should begin. However, your concerns and your contribution are taken into consideration. But should we have started doing that long time the moment we started the CBE? I can assure you we should be having so many teachers, because those people, those persons who are trained in those special areas are out there. They are unemployed probably, but we want to show them there is a shortcut to come into teaching even without qualification. How will they do that? And encourage them to take that 1 year course and become teachers. On the issue of prior learning, yes, it is important. I need to know more about what you implied for that, but you can remember, or rather, even when we are recruiting, the issue about what you are good at is very pertinent in consideration of what you undertake to become a teacher. It is also important to know, yes, people have been questioning. We are actually in the process of conducting a study on this area, the effectiveness of retooling. But I want us to remember, those of us who are in the groups, the early groups in 844, what we are talking about today is actually what was there then. I was young, I could not understand, but I have learned more. But I can assure you that from the way we are and the way we have the structures that have been put in place, I must confess, Bwana DG, we are very far as compared to what we read about how 844 system was actually introduced into the society. And therefore, let us not give up. We will not let our teachers out because there are issues in retooling. We will prepare them even as we continue expecting the teacher colleges and the universities to give us CBE compliant graduates. Thank you very much.
Thank you and welcome back, CSR. We are just concluding on some of the issues that have been raised by the panel. It was a second round of reflections, and we were just getting feedback now from the presenters. This time I want to go to Professor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mungai, for moderation again. I have got a question on a piece of paper here regarding approval of international curricula. And it's important to clarify that one of the mandates of KICD on behalf of the ministry is to evaluate and approve any curriculum to be offered in Kenya, whether it is a foreign curriculum that is already being offered in whichever country. And you must get that recommendation from KICD to the ministry that yes, you are allowed to establish an international school or even a private school in Kenya. That is when the students will even qualify for registration for any assessment. Now, I think of the other questions, the one that is relevant to me is the question from the two sisters on why CRE or religious education indeed should not be compulsory. Sister, I did explain earlier that the essence of core subjects is that we are looking for learning areas that have cross-cutting issues that any learner pursuing any competency will need for two reasons: for their further education, to enhance the process, but also even if they are going to the world of work. And that's why the two languages, English and Kiswahili, are there, because every other person will need communication competencies. And I said that's why community service learning is there, because it starts to link what children do at school to the pertinent and contemporary problems in the society. And I did explain that mathematics has stemmed from, as you know, widespread stakeholder engagement and demand. Now, Christian religious education, as you know, like other religions, is a spiritual matter. And we do acknowledge that all learners do need spiritual nourishment. What the Curriculum Institute has done in relation to that is that we have provided for that pastoral program at all levels, including senior school. It is there. They'll have a session in pastoral program when people of diverse religions can come into schools and engage students on religious matters. As to whether religion should be compulsory, I can tell you it's a very emotive matter. You may not believe that we even have letters from some sections of Kenyans asking why religious education should be there in the first place. So these are matters that would not necessarily be cross-cutting in the manner that the other areas are. But CS and PS, the challenge with the curriculum development is that if we go that direction, people who are passionate about agriculture will tomorrow say, let's have agriculture as core. Those who are very passionate about science will say, let's have general science as core. Before you know it, the entire curriculum is compulsory, and then we have no curriculum at all. Bwana Mwathe, distribution of textbooks. Thank you very much for that question, because I was going to be surprised that we leave this conversation without that question. The data that is used by the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development for distribution of textbooks is based on the records of schools and numbers of learners at the Ministry of Education. In fact, before we start any distribution process, we request the PSS office through the directors through the PSS office to give us the lists of learners in schools at that time. And so, if your school is registered to have 100 learners in grade 9, I can assure you, you will get 100 textbooks in every learning area. Our CS was very clear when he was launching distribution of textbooks in grade 9, that if books are being distributed and for any reason your school doesn't get books or doesn't get the right number, work with speed through the Sub-County Director of Education, pass that information to the Minister of Education, who will then ask KICD to do that. And that is not late. Even today, grade 9, we are distributing books from grade 1 to 4, replenishing the old stock. And grade 5, 6, 7, 8 for the rationalized areas. Even today, if for any reason your school doesn't have those books, or your school doesn't have the number, through the Sub-County Director of Education, who is our eye on the ground, let us know and the books will be supplied to you. Now for junior schooling specifically, and also senior school, the ministry took up the position that to widen the scope of the learners' frame of reference, for every learning areas we shall give 2 books. The first book at 60%, the second book at 40%. That is meant to enhance the purview of learners and appreciation in particular areas. So in grade 10, for example, just like it happened in grade 9, for mathematics, you will find 2 books from different publishers. As to whether and how to use it, basically, Mwalimu, you are talking about creativity. In CBC, it's about communication and collaboration. So you do not have to have one text distributed to all learners at the same time. That is something that we can discuss behind the tent. I think that's all that was directed towards KICD. Thank you very much, Mr. Mungai.
Thank you, Professor, and I seek your indulgence. I would wish now we retire the panel. I think they have done well. So allow a round of applause to them, and then ask them to join the arena down there, and then request the PS now, Ambassador Professor Bitok, to take over the program from here. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Mungai. Another round of applause for him. He was also the chairman of the technical committee putting together this function. Thank you very much. You have done a wonderful job. We have had 2 sessions back to back, and we appreciate. Welcome back, Honorable Julius Migos, Cabinet Secretary, together with Honorable Joseph McLeod, MP for Baringo North, also a member of the committee. Karibuni sana. Now we are coming to the end. As you may have realized, we have varied our program a little bit so that we finish and go for lunch, because it's somehow the tea break extended around midday, and we thought it was very important that we finish so that when we go for lunch, we have our lunch in a relaxed way and have also our 4 o'clock tea at the same time. That will be in the next. That will be in the next few minutes after we listen to our cabinet secretary. So, at this point, I would like to read out some of the resolutions, and then the cabinet secretary will be able to make his closing remarks. As I wait for the resolutions to be posted, I don't know whether Secretariat we are ready. Allow me, chief guest, to invite the member of the committee to say something as we wait for the resolutions. Let's put our hands together for Honorable Joseph McLeod, member of National Assembly, Committee on Education. Karibu sana, Mheshimiwa McLeod.
Thank you, PS, Professor Bitok, Cabinet Secretary, Dr. Julius Mikos Okamba, and your entire team, Ministry of Education and the entire stakeholders. Once again, we were here in the morning to wish you well on your deliberations, and we are back again this afternoon to see you off with the resolutions that you've deliberated. The chairman of the Education Committee has sent me here to accompany the CS in the final closing remarks for this session, and to say, I am a teacher by profession, and for double maths, pure and applied. So when I hear people saying maths will be done away with, I say it could be eradicating me in some way from the field. But all said and done, I think everything that you've discussed in this particular conference or symposium will find its way in Parliament for legislation, so that we concretize the competence-based education in law. That will be good for Kenyans, that will be reliable and dependable, and it will bring up citizens that will change this country. This is the game changer. We want to have graduates that will be able to manufacture a spoon, so that we don't import a spoon from China, including a toothpick. We should be having our own local industrialists from here in Kenya through a competence-based education. That is the way to go, and that is why you see every company in the world are all in China, not because of one thing. There are too many skilled people in China. So even Samsung, they take their manufacturing of their phones in China. All these industrialists, they take their things to China, and then what China will do is they give that company their final quality product, and then they reduce the quality of the next ones for Chinese to sell into the market and dump the country with substandard goods. So we want to build our own industries here. So CS, concretize this, develop it into a policy paper, bring it on. We as members of Parliament for Education, majority of us are teachers, we are waiting for this in Parliament, and we shall be able to give you the necessary support, the necessary resources, so that we have law that will last generations to come. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, Honorable McLeod. Another round of applause for him. Thank you very much. The future is indeed bright with the expected industrialists from CBE, competency-based education. Now, I don't know whether we are set, but as the screen is set, allow me, Cabinet Secretary, to appreciate all the stakeholders who are able to be here today, including the Parliamentary Committee, including the Council of Governors, international schools, CEOs of our sagas who have been here the whole day, Kesha, Vice Chancellors, the private schools, SUPCAM unions, Commission for University Education, parents, and even the students who managed to come here this morning up to afternoon. Now, the objective of this conversation was really to tech talk. We have had 47 county forums around the country. And we say today is the day when we are going to put together a report. We're going to listen to stakeholders and come up with a comprehensive report, which we are going to do, and collect all the views from the stakeholders. And I think we have been able to transact that very, very, very well. And in the process, we have been able to rebrand CBC to become CBE. Right now, we are no longer talking about CBC. We are talking about CBE, which is Elimu Thabiti. That is also one thing we have achieved in the process of this conversation, because we are no longer talking about the curriculum. Right now, we are talking about a system of education that is holistic, that focuses on talent, that focuses on skills, that brings out the best from our learners. I think that is the main. And while I was speaking here in the morning, when Dr. Inyangala was giving a joke of do this, do that, I was told that these days you don't fail or pass. You are either qualified. You say, what are you doing? You are exceeding expectation, below expectation, approaching expectation. What about the top one? Exceeding. I want to say that this meeting today has exceeded expectation. Who agrees with me? I think, borrowing from Inyangala, this has exceeded expectation, because as the Committee on Education has said, they have really been waiting for this kind of conversation. And from where I sit, this is just but the beginning. The conversation continues. We are going to engage more and more, because we want to refine our education system and ensure that CBC brings out the best from our learners. Now, as I wind up, before I call the Cabinet Secretary to make closing remarks, we can go through the background. Of course, the Minister of Education has convened the National Conversation Forum to facilitate a structured engagement on CB among the key stakeholders. And the reason why we have this conversation today is because we wanted to officially receive a comprehensive report from the concluded county dialogues on competency-based education. That is number one. Number two, collectively address the emerging issues and recommendations raised to chart a progressive way forward in the implementation. And of course, during this national conversation, stakeholders were given an opportunity to appraise themselves on the status of transition from grade 9 to grade 10. And we are also able to listen to Kenya National Examination on competency-based education assessments, as well as Teacher Service Commission on the role of teachers on this very progressive education system. Let's go to the next. In terms of recommendations, of course, the Cabinet Secretary gave a policy decision this morning that mathematics will be compulsory to senior school, and I think that was a very, very important, and that a technical committee has been put in place to work very closely with KICD to ensure that we operationalize the new policy directive. Secondly, legal and regulatory framework was presented here by the Presidential Working Party, and the sessional paper and the bills to regularize or rather regulate education are at an advanced stage in Parliament, in line with the Presidential Working Party on education reforms. And I think it was very clear. We were presented 11 bills, in which now they are at an advanced stage to be presented to Parliament, and we have gotten the reassurance from the Committee of Education on National Assembly that they're going to work on these bills and ensure that they are enacted as soon as possible. Because CBC actually needs to get a legal and regulatory foundation so that they can be able to take root. The third resolution, of course, was on adult education curriculum. The adult education curriculum to be reviewed in line with the CB as fast as possible. That is work in progress. It is very important to align our adult education curriculum to the CB, competency-based education. I think our adults also need to be taught the competency skills. We don't want to teach them only basic things. We need to align them to CBE. Number 4, support from the Parliamentary Committee on Education. There was a commitment, of course, from the committee, I repeat again, which I repeated in number 2, to ensure that all the bills that have been presented will be fast-tracked, both at the committee level and in the floor of the House. Thank you very much, Honorable Committee. Of course, there was also a proposal on retooling of teachers. Teacher Service Commission has done a very good job in as far as ensuring that they have trained teachers. We had a presentation here. There are 291 teachers who have already been trained and retrained and retooled. And we are looking at ensuring that we intensify that process so that all the teachers under CBC will be able to execute their mandate as required. The other recommendation which was given was on the books and infrastructure. There will be enhanced support in terms of assertive devices following the government decision to develop a workshop for this purpose at KISEM. I mean, in terms of special education, the government is doing everything to ensure that there is support. There is support for our special learners. And also, there's a lot which is happening in terms of support infrastructure, in terms of books, in terms of materials, so that we can get all our special needs education requirements in place. That came out very strongly. Transition of learners is the 7th one, who are not in CBE. And the ministry and the agencies will work together to engage to come up with appropriate actions for such learners. And in this case, we are talking about people who are not able to complete their exams. We shall put a framework and a mechanism in place to ensure that those who don't succeed, even as we conclude KCSE matters in 2027, we shall work on them. But more importantly, we have worked on comprehensive guidelines to transit our learners from grade 9 to grade 10, or rather from junior school to senior school. And Dr. Sugud actually presented a very comprehensive proposal. And we have said, starting on 20th of May, we are going to ensure that our learners in grade 9 start applying to transit. And we have said we are going to leverage on technology to ensure that we have a smooth transition. This issue of where there's a lot of hustling here and there will be a thing of the past. We want to ensure that there's proper, well-planned, aided with technology transition from junior school to senior school. Otherwise, those are some of the recommendations which have been captured by the Secretariat. It is still work in progress, but Guest of Honor Cabinet Secretary will give you a comprehensive report coming out of this very important conversation on what has been captured from all the stakeholders. And this will form actually the basis of how we are able to implement some of these resolutions and way forward. Allow me at this point, ladies and gentlemen, to thank you once again for coming, to thank you for your patience, and to thank you for your resilience in as far as ensuring that you contribute to reforming our education system. I know history has given us this opportunity at this point in time, and we thank God for this opportunity, that all of us are seated here to be able to chart a way forward and ensure that our learners, our country, gets the best possible education system in its history. Allow me at this point to request us to stand up so that to receive the Cabinet Secretary, who is going to make his closing remarks and officially close the conference. Karibu sana, Waziri. Let's put our hands together for Waziri. Welcome, Waziri.
Thank you, PS, thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, PS. I was here in the morning with the Committee on Education. They had some questions for me in Parliament. In the morning, we were friends with Maklap and Meli while we were here. Then we went to Parliament. They went on the opposite side. They grilled me quite a bit. But then again, we came together. And that is how democracy works, and that is how we work together to ensure that we are giving the Kenyans the very, very best. But thank you so much, Mheshimiwa Maklap, for being here to represent the chairman. But ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, because I know you've been here for quite a long time. Good afternoon. Good afternoon again. Ladies and gentlemen, rarely do I get the opportunity to address an important event like the one of today twice on the same day. This is historic. I'm therefore very, very excited to be back on stage to offer the closing remarks for this vital national conversation on the competency-based education this afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, although we knew this event would go well, we did not expect it to be such a massive success. And as the PS has said, we have exceeded expectation. Clap for yourselves. In the end, ladies and gentlemen, we have held a meaningful, useful, and absolutely honest conversation about the education that we want for our country. Besides receiving the findings of the county-based dialogues, we have further engaged on the nuts and bolts of the competency-based education to a fair level of detail. This conversation has included teachers and relevant ministry officials who sit at the grassroots level of execution of this particular curriculum. And indeed, ladies and gentlemen, it's at the grassroots that the rubber meets the road. That is where we can fail or succeed. We cannot afford to fail in the CBE implementation. We must succeed for the sake of our children and for the sake of our country. One of the biggest takeaways from today's conversation and the county dialogues has been our resolution that will offer mathematics as a compulsory subject for all students in senior school. Consequently, we have set up a technical team that will work with the experts from the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development to determine the modalities of offering mathematics in the senior school level. This conversation has also buttressed the need to speed up the formulation and processing of the seasonal paper and relevant legislation to anchor the competency-based education. I'm happy that the chairman of the National Assembly Committee on Education and Research, represented here this afternoon by Honorable Maklap MP Baringo North, assured us of the August House full support in fast-tracking the necessary policies and legislation. One other issue, ladies and gentlemen, which has been well canvassed here today, is the one concerning private candidates in the context of the competency-based education. I can assure the stakeholders here that the ministry will immediately start consultations on ways to ensure a robust mechanism is in place to facilitate the re-entry and assessment for private candidates to ensure they complete their basic education. Further, we'll work in close collaboration to step up the progress of implementing the recommendations contained in the report for the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms. As all of us can agree, we have in the past 2 years done well in the implementation of some of the recommendations, and we promise to do even better going forward. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said in the morning, the competency-based education is a journey that we must get right for our future generations. For this reason, I would ask you to be prepared to be consulted as regularly as possible as we navigate through the issue surrounding the CBE implementation. As I was looking at the recommendations here today, a thought came to my mind that if we had given this work to a consultant, we would have had to pay a lot of money. But you've helped us to navigate through and achieve that which would not have achieved in such a short notice. So thank you so much for your contribution. Today we've listened and taken away your good input that will help us to continue the process of delivering the quality education that our country deserves. Today, I'm appealing to all the field officers of the Ministry of Education, NEC, KICD, and TSC to work closely with all stakeholders in the country to cascade these resolutions of this conference to reach the grassroots. This is because we are all members of one team working for the same Kenyan child. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I urge all of you, especially the teachers, the parents and guardians who are here and across the country, to guide our grade 9 candidates adequately as they start to select their senior schools of choice. This exercise will start as indicated on the 20th of May 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to declare, therefore, this national conversation officially closed. I wish you well as you prepare to start the second term of the school calendar next week, and thank you and may God bless Kenya. Asanteni sana kwa kazi mzuri. Thank you, God bless.
Thank you very much, the CS. We really appreciate you so much. A round of applause again for the closing remarks. Now we will welcome Florence Amoit, Secretary Administration, for the vote of thanks. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, our CS, Honorable Ogamba, the PS, our participants. Good afternoon. I am privileged to be the one to give the vote of thanks. And my first vote of thanks goes to our CS. And CS, as you have rightly said, this is rare that we've heard you in the morning. We have heard you come to close this great conference. We really want to appreciate you. My next vote of thanks goes to the PS for this great idea. When he told us that let's put this thing together, I think we did not believe. PS, we really want to appreciate you. It has worked and it has worked well. To our participants, I've heard the voices of Kenya Private Schools Association, COPET, Elimu Yetu, JKF, and the religious organizations, all our invited guests. I want to thank you for coming to participate here to talk about the education of our child. And talking about the education of our child, as it has been said here, is talking about the future of Kenya, because the future of Kenya is in our children. And coming here, sparing time to come and discuss it is something of great importance. We want really to say thank you to the ministry. The PS put together a team that was able to come up with the planning and to arrive at this conference. I would want to take this opportunity to ask the team to stand up, to recognize them under the leadership of Director Mungai. Where's Director Mungai? And the team that worked together with him to have this happen. Please, let's be upstanding. CS, that is the team that worked round the clock, including yesterday at 8 p.m. They were here just to ensure that we have a good function. And congratulations, colleagues. I saw great teamwork. I saw great ideas coming through from the colleagues to have this succeed. I'm proud of the team that worked with me. I was working with them. And let us keep it up. As our leaders have promised, this is not the last one. And so we want to promise that the next one is going to even to be better than this. Because you said a better idea can be made best. So next we'll have the best conference ever. Otherwise, I don't want to say much after my seniors have talked. Sometimes it is very difficult to talk a lot. I want also to appreciate the committee of our Committee of Education in Parliament, represented here by Honorable McLeod. Please take our appreciation to the chairman that we really appreciate the support that you have promised, and working with us since morning up to now is not something we can take for granted. I want now to take this opportunity to wish everyone safe journey home, wish you bon appetit as you partake of the lunch, and when we call you next time, please respond and come back again. Otherwise, thank you very much. Have journey masses home. Asante. All right.
Oh, a round of applause to the Secretary Administration for thanking us. Therefore, we thank you too.
Good afternoon once again. Interesting conversations have been had. Difficult questions have also been asked in regards to the competency-based education system. The ministry insists that they are now looking at the ministry as a whole, hence the name competency-based education, and not only as a curriculum. So recommendations have been given, and the ministry says that they will look into this recommendation in different entities. So TSC will look into matters of teachers, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development will look into matters curriculum, COOPs of course placement, and NEC examinations. We're looking forward to see how some of this recommendation will be implemented into policy. That is all from me as we wind up from the forum. Yes.
In the name of Allah.